Do you hesitate to fire an employee who's clearly not doing a good job? Do you hesitate to tell a waiter that the food was horrible? Do you avoid telling your spouse you disagree with him or her just to keep the peace? Do you not tell your kids that you disapprove of their behavior so that they feel loved? And do you think it would make you an obnoxious or unpleasant person to start telling the truth? Do you know that telling people the truth actually helps them? If that truth is communicated not in an obnoxious, aggressive, harsh, angry manner, but in a gentle, kind, and loving manner. There's a fine line between authenticity and politeness. When does politeness or peacefulness turn into timidity? It turns into timidity when you're no longer telling the truth, no longer expressing your authentic self just to keep the peace. So, when is it better to speak up? And when is it better to put up and shut up? Well, the sweet spot of authenticity, or the ideal, lies somewhere in the middle, in the balance. It's good and authentic and real to tell people the truth, but it does matter how you tell them. It is common for the ego self to prefer looking good at the cost of telling the truth, to want to look good at the cost of doing what's right. And the ego self tries to pass off conflict avoidance as being peaceful. But being an avoider, being a conflict avoider, is not the same thing as being peaceful. There's a difference. So on the one end of the scale, we have people who confront others about every little thing, who speak up at every little issue, and that's way too much. That's not authenticity, that's being annoying. And on the other end of the scale, we have those who don't speak up about anything. And those are not peaceful, they are timid. And the funny thing is that this timidity does not help your public image or reputation or the way people see you long term. You actually lose respect over time, all the while you're trying to make a good impression and look good and keep the peace. You lose respect. Underlying this timidity is a sense of shame, the shame of not being a good person. So let me ask you once again straight out, deep down, is there the idea that you're not a good person, that you're unworthy, unvaluable? And the quickest way to release this tendency is to feel it while you are speaking your truth. For example, to feel it while you're complaining about the food to the waiter, while you're firing an employee, while you're telling your spouse or your kids the truth about something. So you would simply see what you feel while authentically speaking your truth. You breathe with what you feel and you relax on the out-breath. And if the other person approves of your truth and what you have to say, you simply accept that and breathe with that. You see, that's what we're so terrified of, that someone might disapprove of what we say. But rather than focusing on what the other person might think about you, or what problems and consequences might arise for you speaking your truth, you keep attention on compassion and appreciation with yourself and with the other person. In other words, there's no attention on your reputation or what anybody thinks of you. There's merely an intention to tell the truth and an appreciation of both sides, giving both sides space, giving yourself space to tell the truth and giving the other the space not to like it. So the idea is, I do love, like, or appreciate you as a person, but this and this is my truth nonetheless. And you can tell people the truth with an attitude of respect, with an attitude of gentleness, and that will make it much easier for both of you. You simply tell your truth as a matter of fact. That is factually your truth. Whether it's universally true or not, that is your truth that you wish to communicate, that you no longer wish to withhold and keep bottled up within yourself. And the mistake many people make, because they've withheld their truth for so long, is they say it in an angry way, or a blaming way, or as an act of revenge, or in order to hurt someone. And that has nothing to do with authenticity. That's just blowing off steam. That's just dumping your garbage on other people. And many think that that's authenticity, if they just go around dumping their garbage and insulting people and being confrontational with them, then they're being authentic and calling a spade a spade. But that's not authentic. That's revenge and anger driven. That's when authenticity turns low consciousness, turns downwards to hatred. But done in a matter-of-fact way, gentle way, it actually helps people to learn about your truth, and it also helps them to learn about their mistakes. So if the truth you want to communicate regards somebody's mistakes, it actually helps them to learn about their mistakes or what you perceive as their mistakes. And you're not responsible for their reaction. It's something they have to deal with. So if I never told the waiter how bad the food is, and many don't, he couldn't tell his cook, and they, as a restaurant, couldn't improve. And people would just silently walk away, and they'd never know what's going on. They'd see a lack of customers in the restaurant, but wouldn't be any smarter for it. If, on the other hand, I say, look, I really appreciate your effort and this restaurant and all, but this food is no good, really, and I don't want to come back, then they can learn something from that. Now, if they're stupid, and reactive, they'll start attacking you and saying you're wrong and whatnot. But if they're truly smart and want to be successful, they'll take your criticism as a stepping stone to improvement, and it's going to help them. Whereas withholding the truth helps nobody. You want to give people honest feedback so that they can improve, so that the whole world can improve. Don't you know that one of the reasons the world as a whole is not in the greatest place, in the greatest state, the reason we're not living in an enlightened planetary civilization is because everybody keeps withholding the truth, not wanting to rock the boat. Now, to the ego self, it appears as if being nice all the time will actually help people. And it's true, it does help people to be positive and kind and nice, but withholding the truth is not actually being nice, it's being mean. It's withholding a large chunk of reality from a person, thus depriving them of the opportunity to deal with reality. So the type of honesty we're talking about here may seem difficult at first, or it may seem difficult every time you apply it for the rest of your life. I don't know. But the difficulty is always short-term. And dishonesty or withholding the truth often seems more easy in the short term, but it's difficult in the long term. The kind of honesty referred to here will help you break through many barriers. It will help you succeed in life. And it will help you go beyond the situation and status of most people who are neither truthful to themselves, nor to others, nor to society. On your journey and path to full self-realization, to full authenticity, you want to more and more reveal truths about yourself with people you can trust, with safe people. You want to have somebody in your life you can reveal yourself to fully, with all your upsides and all your downsides. That is wonderfully liberating, having a witness you can fully reveal yourself to. That's one of the purposes of having a relationship. And then, once you're fully honest about yourself and who you are, you'll also want to be honest about what you see in others to help them improve. Not all the time, not every single day, not with everything they do, but just once in a while, in things that become obvious or become repetitive in patterns you see in them. And then finally, you want to become more honest and true about what you see in life, in society, and in the world, and simply speak up. There are a lot of unacceptable things happening in the world, but people walk through their day as if it's none of their business. As if it's somebody else's business, somebody else is going to take care of it. But if you perceive it, it's actually your responsibility to speak up about it. Or at least tell somebody you know, look, I saw this and this issue, how could we improve that? What could we do about that? Just as a small example, in my neighborhood, there were these mailboxes that received a lot of junk mail that was flying around all over the grass and all over the streets, and nobody was cleaning the junk mail up. Nobody felt responsible. Everybody thought, well, that's none of my business. And even after no junk mail stickers had been applied, the junk mail just kept coming, polluting the bushes, the grasses, the trees, and it was all over the place, and it wasn't nice to see the neighborhood look that way. But as is often the case in society, nobody spoke up about it, nobody took responsibility for it, and everybody was waiting for somebody else to fix or solve the problem. Neither did the town's trash service intervene, so the junk mail just kept piling up. So one day I simply collected all of it and put all of it into this box. And then I went to the town hall to report the problem to the town. And then the problem vanished. And my neighbors probably don't know why the problem vanished. They just assume somebody's going to take care of it, and somebody usually does. In this case, it was me. But imagine what a wonderful world we would live in if more than 1% of the population took some responsibility. If more than 1% of the population spoke up. If more than 1% of the population didn't settle for less. So you want more power, you want more strength, you want to feel more alive and real, I recommend you speak up. You don't settle for less, you talk truth. And sure, in some instances, you may be wrong. The truth that you perceive may be wrong. But that is no reason not to speak up. We have this misconception in society that if you were wrong once, you're an idiot, and you better not say anything. This comes from school, from heavy conditioning in school. You have no clue, you better just shut up. And it's important for an adult to overcome that timidity and overcome the idea that you have nothing to say. You are equipped with a mind and with a heart and intuition, and your contribution matters. My name is Fred Dodson. Have a nice day.
Keep it steady now.
Shells lie on the shore,
listen, you will hear calling you. If you listen, you will hear wanting you in the warmth of sunlight between the sand and seashells. Take me home with you. I'll sing my song for you. I'll recall each summer on a lonely shore in the warmth of sunlight between the sand and the seashell. If you listen, you will hear calling you. If you listen, you will hear wanting you in the warmth of sunlight between the sand and
A nice hand for Scrap, everybody. We're gonna do my Hawaiian song of love this time.